I call the member for Wirrawah.
Could indicate at the outset that despite the comments I'm about to make, I deeply respect the member for Ryan's commitment and knowledge in this area and a very genuine interest in the area. However, I can't really agree with the tenor of this resolution. I guess it reminds me of my father's comment that you should always be thankful for small mercies. This relationship, or this visit of the longest standing in 25 years, is indeed in that vein. It's a small mercy given this government's foreign affairs performance since coming to power. When we look around the world, we can see in Malaysia we had to issue an apology because of a rather club-footed earlier approach there. We've had Indonesia complaining about infringements on its sovereignty. Had a situation where ASIO has raided the lawyer representing the close neighbour East Timor. We've had a situation where when West Irian or Free Papuan refugee seekers approached one of our posts, the Prime Minister of this country said they were grandstanding against Indonesia. A situation whereby, in regards to climate change, we couldn't find a senior MP to bother to get on a plane to Warsaw. In relation to torture, the Prime Minister made the resounding, internationally recognised comment, sometimes in difficult situations, difficult things happen. A kind of, in a way, defence of torture. And if we want to look at our ability to gain friends in this world, the current government was not content with ourselves abstaining in regards to non-member status for Palestine when the vote was 138 to 9. They went on in the settlements vote to be in a minority of 8 against 158 and associate ourselves with a very small minority of countries around the world. So I think that to make much of this visit, that it was the longest standing in 2 decades, is indeed a small mercy for this government's foreign policy position. And I want to say even there, one has to be somewhat dubious of where things lie at the moment and the basis on which this relationship now stands. Michael Gordon, on the 23rd of March this year, talked of recent controversy over the inquiry into a death of a person in detention. Amongst the aspects of this relationship, he talked about the closing down of the human rights inquiry with Australian agreement, a joint agreement to deny access to a human rights lawyer to Papua New Guinea. He spoke of Immigration Minister Bartow's very kindly support of Australian foreign policy, saying, and he's an expert on this, he's apparently a previous tribunal member somewhere in the world, he knows so much about these claimants, he's examined their personal cases. He came out and said that they were economic refugees. And of course, at a press conference with the Prime Minister of Australia, they closed down, when he's speaking of close and constructive candid talks, he certainly wasn't close and constructive in regards to questions because they closed down discussion. Now, if the relationship is that good, I was a bit interested in Deputy Commissioner Simon Calber's comments last week about the Australian inquiry into what happened in the detention centre. He said that the inquiry was inconclusive and, quote, cannot be dependent to prosecute a case and hampers the ongoing investigation. So, we know that New Guinea is very dependent upon Australia. We know that there was no reduction in the foreign aid to that country, one of the few that didn't get off, that didn't have a reduction in the world, and I think you've got to be suspicious as to the motivation there. They're very dependent. They're very compliant with Australia's needs in regards to offshore detention. As I say, I think this country should be more concerned with an under 5 mortality rate in Papua New Guinea of 75 per 1,000 live births. The fact that the primary school enrolments rate is just 53%, lower than all but a few African countries. The primary school completion rate was just 45 in 2007 and hasn't improved much since then. A situation where the United Nations, in looking at the Millennium Goals, has made the following comments. Papua New Guinea's progress has been slow. Uneven economic growth and distribution of wealth, high levels of violence, deteriorating law and order, governance undermine the nation's stability. It spoke of serious challenges achieving the MDGs and of working to strengthen the MDG-based data collection, analysis and use. It spoke of the need for a civil services accountable. As I say, they might have been there for a very long visit. However, one has to question the overall small, minuscule role of that visit in the overall failures of this government foreign policy. We are essentially very isolated in regards to a variety of fronts. And I just forgot to mention earlier the complete isolation in this country in regards to human rights in Sri Lanka.